All right, we'll go ahead and get started with the Georgia Tech press conference with head coach James Ramsey and student athlete Ryan Zuckerman. We'll kick things off with a opening statement from head coach, and then we'll take questions from media. And if there's any questions on Zoom later, we'll take those as well. Coach, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think the big thing we've been preaching to our guys all year is that this is a special group made up of a lot of special people. These things, it's long nights recruiting. It's conversations with guys like the one to my right. We've done, I think, a great job spreading out as a staff and saying, hey, we got to be who we are. We've got to be aggressive about staying on the recruiting trail. We've got to attract the right type of talent. And I think as we've continued to elevate this place, now it's more about who you might say no to and who you might pass on. You got to be patient in a world of portal where you feel like you want to upgrade your team. And there's tweets going out now before the things even open. But I think if you stay true to who you are, you're going to wind up attracting people that are like-minded. I do want to shout out our staff. I think the unique thing about our coaching staff is, there's always the coaching adage of don't hire your buddies and you got to do business first. And we certainly do business first. But, just between the relationships that our coaching staff and our support staff has, there is the side where we push each other professionally and try to get the best out of each other. But then we do care about each other as people. Our families are close. They're a part of this thing. It's blended together. It's not work-life balance. But I think that's the reason why our staff has a chance to stick together for a long time, because we do. It's not just about wins and losses, but it's about having your kids grow up together. It's having a guy like Zuckerman that Sunday games end, and I don't know where my son is half the time. It's because Zuckerman's, throwing him ground balls and hitting with him in the batting cages and teaching him to smear eye black and wear chains and pimp homers, even when they're singles at his 6-year-old t-ball game. But I mean, he's a superhero to my son. And so to have Zuck in this program, I mentioned it so many times, he's the unsung hero, right? He's been willing to do whatever it takes to come in and win. The recruiting process, man, was a joy. He's got great parents. There's so many of the values that line up. Mike Bell coached me. Have a ton of respect for that program that's out there having a chance to play for a championship tomorrow. But when you get a guy in here like this, he's hungry and he has some self-interest. He wants to make the most out of his pro career, but he didn't want to go past the step of winning a championship. And so, couldn't be more proud of his effort today. Between Jackson Blakely, once again, we talk about the pitching side of the ball and how when you're playing in Omaha, you're playing in a super regional, you're playing in a 1-0-1-0 game in a regional, you have to have an ace on the mound. And so Jackson Blakely's first career appearance coming off Tommy John last year, we decided to keep him on the roster. And it's one of those well-known facts. Every roster spot's extremely valuable, but he's a true tech man. He does his job in the classroom. He came back from his rehab and didn't miss a beat, and he pitched in Coral Gables. I believe that was his first outing. And so, it's one of those full circle moment things to see him out there absolutely shoving for us. He's an ace, and I think we have multiple of them, and he'll be ready to go Friday night if his name's called Friday, or Saturday if his name's called Saturday, or Sunday if it's called Sunday. We really like our pitching staff and how deep it is. But once again, you could go up and down. I think the one pitch I would make is you look at Von Lackey, and if they're the general managers that have a lot of computers and they got a lot of humans and they're going to draft consensus of making a guy the face of their franchise, but we always joke that he's make-believe. There's just something about him. His personality is larger than life. He's so extremely talented, but he's one of the most humble kids. And we talk about it. Are you good at it because you love it, or do you love it because you're good at it, right? And I think Vaughn is one of those examples of he is continuing to get better. And until he gets promoted to Double-A straight out of the draft and gets a chance to play in the show by next year, he's not going to continue to get challenged enough. But, once again, from the top down, there's a lot of special things going. Miami's a really good team. It's a beat a Virginia team that was hungry, to beat a Miami team that has a lot of things going right for it. We got a chance to win a championship tomorrow. And so that's a really cool part of winning the regular season and then having a chance to play on Sunday.
Thanks, Coach. I'll take questions from the media. If you have a question on Zoom, please use the raise hand function, but we'll start in person. Go ahead, Dan.
I want to talk to both of you, but first everyone's talking about Zuck's home runs, but he's gone from, somebody who might be projected more as a first baseman at the next level to the ACC's best defensive shortstop. He was second in the conference in DRS at all positions. Rammer, if you could talk to me a little bit about his development and then Zuck, from your point of view, that development.
Yeah, I think if you look at baseball cards and you kind of just look at the surface level statistics, he knows probably 12 or 13, whatever the number of errors were last year. And a lot of times, it's turf field and some of this stuff. I genuinely think there's some people that get scared away by certain statistics. And I think we're a thing that it's all about the player. Schulman and I remember specifically watching his errors last year. And it's like, man, it's a little bit of dead feet. Maybe it's a little bit being timid, whatever it was. And so I think that was a piece that he was hungry to develop as well. So I give Coach Schulman a ton of credit, from a guy that works tirelessly with these infielders. I mean, you have the Curse play that goes first and second. Curse goes back into the 6 hole and throws a force play to Zuck at third. We work on that thing every day. Those guys communicate. They're anticipating the next pitch. Who Ryan Zuckerman's become as a player, you want to look at all these draft values and you go, yeah, but he struck out this many times or he did this. Well, listen, there's red, there's green, there's yellow. There's conditionally formatted things when you look at the draft. And you go, does he have power? He has 70 to 75 power. Okay. Does he chase? Does he whiff? Well, to me, it doesn't matter if you whiff before 2 strikes because the last time I checked, you don't get out unless you whiff with 2 strikes. And so getting him to lean into being a really good athlete kind of narrowed some things just to free him up physically. I think more than anything, I mean, he was our best hitter in the fall. Like, he was the best performer all fall for us in preseason if you put all those numbers together. So what he's done this season hasn't shocked us because he did it against the best pitching staff in the ACC. But it really was. It speaks to he's going to class. He's showing up every day. He's one of the first guys to the clubhouse. He's the same guy every day. And he's gone through some stretches. Listen, power guys that strike out, you're going to live with your binging of strikeouts. Like, I think we've all gone through that as players. He never changes. And so I think when you're a major league front office now, you have a guy that can play a premium position at third base, which is the second most valuable position in the infield behind shortstop. You have a guy now that has reduced his chase. He's reduced his whiff. He's added power. He's added, all those things to his game. And a lot of times guys, to your point, get pushed to first base. Like, he is a true third baseman. Some scout out there that's going to get credit is going to look really smart in a couple years down the road, whether he gets traded for a big league all-star and switches organizations. Like, this guy has a chance to play in the big leagues. And, I think once again, you want 2 years with this guy. You want 3 years with this guy. And so super grateful for the one we got together. But him and Jaron and Vicula, man, are like thick as thieves, man. I mean, it was early in the season. We swept somebody. And those two guys are like once again, I act this way too. Don't get me wrong, but they're like dogpiling on sweeping somebody. And they were like, this is sick, right? And so you can't get tired. You can't, that was the one message I had to the guys. We didn't play our best today. But I was like, man, we can't take for granted how special this group is. It's hard to win. And so you got to be excited when those moments come around. But no, I think he deserves all the credit for just showing up every single day and believing that this is the guy that he truly is as a player.
Yeah, I mean, like Rammer just said, I think it's obviously there's a lot of hard work that goes into it, but I wouldn't be here without the coaches that we have on the staff. I mean, whether it's going in there early or staying after to get ground balls defensively, just working on the little things, just using my athleticism to help me out. I mean, Schulman, we're out there every single day, and we're using these bumper gloves that make it borderline impossible to even catch the ball. And I mean, just stuff like that really has helped me elevate my game. I think also the people around me, when I'm in the infield with Schmitty, Curse, and Ja, like, these are 3 absolute studs, premium at their position in college, and it will be a professional baseball. So it's like we all just kind of push each other to get better. And I mean, little pointers we can give to each other, we're going to do, and we're going to go out there, we're going to work our butts off. There's not another team out there that works as hard as we do. So, I mean, when you put all those hours in and you're surrounded by this coaching staff and this team, you can kind of elevate your game any way you want.
Your second home run today set the single season home run record for Georgia Tech. I don't know if you knew that in the moment, but just talk about what that means to be able to set that record and have the day you had.
Yeah, no, I did not know that. I don't think any of us knew that because we're all focused on kind of one thing. Obviously right now is beating Miami, and then now tomorrow it's going to be winning the ACC championship. But, it just speaks to how good and how deep this team is. You got 1 through, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, this team is loaded, and you can put anyone in the lineup. You can flip the lineup however you want, and the same result's going to happen. It's inevitable what's going to happen with this team. So, I mean, I'm not surprised at it at all. I mean, there's a lot of records we broke, and there's a lot more records we're going to continue to break. So that's just kind of one step in the right direction.
Thank you, Coach. You mentioned several times the pitching staff. Everybody sees the big offensive numbers. Just how much chip on the shoulder does pitching staff have to kind of prove themselves to?
Yeah, I think our first step to doing that was just breaking down the barrier of having pitching be in a silo. Like, it's unfair to sit here and say your earned run average is not a byproduct of your defense and your pitching staff, which, once again, I know you get to take unearned runs out, but it's not just about that. You can play balls into hits in the infield. You can play balls into hits in the outfield. To have no errors out there, when you're in these shortened windows, you're playing early, and we never let guys make excuses. We go early on home football game days for a reason, right? We get them and have days where we got to show and go in the cages. But I think when you look at the defense has elevated us as well. And so we basically said, listen, if a run scores, we have to take that personal. A lot of times the old pitching adage of if it's unearned and all of a sudden you kind of see guys snake out of it, that's not acceptable in this program. If you have a chance to get in front of the baseball or back up a base like Parker Brocious did yesterday on an errant throw, that's the stuff that wins. So when it becomes a thing that everyone takes pride in, all of a sudden you start taking more pride in, giving up 3, giving up 2, whatever the shutout is. And so I think that was the original message. But when you look at the pitching staff, I mean, we talked about a couple things. It's a good, mental toughness book. It's talking about no fear of failure, right? Which is the first thing when you're on that mound. Like, you don't get to get taken out. You strike out hitting, you get to go play defense, you get to go do other things. No fear of failure, 1. 2, I want the ball. You have to want to be in the game on the mound, and that's a lot of times the TrackMan zone's small, and you got really good hitters with metal bats and scary ballparks like this. And then the last thing is it's like, tell me I can't do something, and I will prove you wrong. And so I think these guys have, and I've said it earlier in a press conference this year, like the outside noise, they can only block out so much. Everything that flips to their phone or people send to them. But I think if you're only out there to prove other people wrong, it's not as satisfying when you get the job done. So we've just taken a ton of work of saying Jackson Blakely is going to come back next year ready to be the ace on the staff. And my hope is that iron's going to sharpen iron and Cooper Underwood's going to be like, man, I'm coming for that Friday night spot. And then we're going to bring in some of these young, talented freshmen we have and guys that have pitched out of the bullpen that want bigger roles. But when you have that culture going, you can point back to someone like a Tate McKee that bought into the vision before it happened. Now, all of a sudden, these guys are on the right side of it for us pitching wise. And I can't look forward to, seeing kind of where we go and where the ceiling is from here.
Something we've got to talk about is the culture building for 2024 onward. Some of the guys that have come before, the Cam Jones, the John Beaslers, the Kylo Easton's for a year, who have helped set that tone. How important has it been to kind of keep this core as well and bringing guys that have the vibes? It seems like for Zuckerman, it's been one of the guys who's kind of filled the vibes officer that kind of Lodi's was last year.
I think about Connor Thomas all the time. The guy's throwing a shutout against Auburn, hits a guy with 2 strikes. Luke Waddell makes an error that he never does, uncharacteristic, and we walk off the field against Auburn, a 3-run homer, and we don't get out of that regional. And I think about guys like Chandler Simpson that transferred in, that won the batting title. He's crying, give me a hug after it. And we lose to Tennessee with a lead in the 9th inning, a team that had won 50-something games up to that point. You look at guys up and down that have not been able to play in Omaha or get out of a regional. Amos Willingham was able to attend our games, and a guy that was a stabilizer for us in 2019 that's now achieved his dream of becoming a big leaguer. These are the guys that we continue to play for. It's well documented. We showed a video, and the volume was taken off on purpose of all of our shortcomings. Like, those are the guys that are behind us. Those are the guys that are pouring into these guys. Those are the guys that are our biggest fans. But for us to kind of have turned the tide in the program and kind of, you have to just say, hey, it is what it is. We haven't been there in 20 years. This is the group that has the ability to change that, and we've held them to that standard from the first team meeting we've had on.
Anything else? Last one. Talk about tomorrow. UNC or Pitt spot team. UNC is the only team that beat you on a series this year. Kind of talk about that. Those 2 teams, kind of which team are you looking for? Certain one of them, or this ACC championship that really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, there's no both option, right? We get to play a championship game tomorrow. We want somebody's best. I think that's the fun part at this point in the season. Every team we play, right? We talk about losing to Xavier on a Friday night. No, we're not invincible. But the more chances we get, Siskar's a stud. Like, you get him, you get Payon the day before. Those are quality arms. We go face Carolina. They'll probably throw Boaz, another quality arm. You face Pitt. You're facing a team that is playing with house money. Bell's done a great job this year, deserves a ton of credit. He's made some great moves with just different coaches they have on staff. And Sky Duff's my boy, man. The guy's a stud. So he's a big player guy, and having him back in the program I know has been big for them. But listen, we're going to make this about Georgia Tech tomorrow. We got a chance to do something that hadn't been done in a long time. We're in the regular season and the tournament. And I think our guys are going to enjoy this until we have the team meeting, and then it's back on to the next of kind of playing our best game of the season in front of a lot of fans in a great venue, Charlotte, winning a conference tournament of a conference we have a lot of respect for.
Thanks, Coach. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good.